One scary night at Diana's house, there were four friends having a sleepover, who are Diana, Sarah, Vanessa, and Alicia. They had planned to play hide and seek at 2:35 a.m. They had gone to bed early so that they won't feel sleepy while playing the game. Alicia was the first to get off bed, and she woke all her friends. Then they all go to the bathroom to wash their faces. After that, they chose the seeker by playing rock, paper, scissors. Diana was the seeker. She needed to count 30 seconds and they all need to hide in the darkness. After she counted, she went searching for her friends with a torch. The first was to found was Sarah. She hid under a couch. Then, both of them went searching for the other girls. After a while, they found Alicia. She hid in the closet. There was nothing weird going on until the three of them went to search for Vanessa. Weird things happened, such as they heard footsteps and many things fall to the ground. Then they decided to look at the basement. They saw Vanessa. They started asking if Vanessa was okay, but she just stayed quiet. After 5 minutes, Vanessa vanished. The three friends were terrified. They froze for a minute and went to the living room with the lights on. After 12 minutes, Vanessa came running and asked them why did it took so long to find her. Alicia said to Vanessa that they had found her and that she had vanished. Vanessa then said that they did not even found her. Then all four friends heard footsteps coming towards them. They all ran and went straight to their bedroom and slept. The next day, they all went back to their house, and Diana also decided to sell her house and live with her grandmother. From that day onwards, they would not play games between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m.
The Company of Wolves. The story begins in the present day without a country house. A young girl named Rosalind dreams that she lives in a fairy tale forest during the late 18th century with her parents and sister Alice. But one night, Alice was chased down and killed by wolves while her parents are mourning. Rosalind goes to stay with her grandmother, who knits a red shawl for her granddaughter to wear. The superstitious old woman gives Rosalind an ominous warning to beware men whose eyebrows meet. She returns to her village but finds that she must deal with the advances of an amorous boy. Rosalind and the boy take a walk through the forest, but the boy discovers that the village cattle have come under attack from a wolf. The villagers set out to hunt the wolf, but once caught and killed, the wolf's corpse transforms into that of a human being. She later takes a basket of goods through the woods to her grandmother's cottage, but on her way, she encounters an attractive huntsman whose eyebrows meet. He challenges her, saying that he can find his way to her grandmother's house before she can, and the pair set off. The hunter arrives at Rosalind's grandmother's house first, where he reveals his bestial nature and kills her. Rosalind arrives later and discovers the carnage, but she needs to protect herself is complicated by her desire for the hunter in the ensuing exchange. Rosalind accidentally injures the huntsman with his own rifle. Upon this blow, the hunter contorts in pain and transforms into his wolf shapes. Rosalind takes pity on the wild beast, nothing that his pack could leave him behind. She sits down and begins petting the wolf kindly and tenderly while telling him a story. Ultimately, the villagers arrive at the house sometime later looking forward a werewolf within. Instead, they discover that Rosalind herself has become a werewolf. Together, she and the huntsman escape to the forest, joined by a growing pack having chosen each other as mates. The wolves seem to stream into the real world, breaking into Rosalind's house and gathering outside her bedroom. Rosalind awakes with a scream as one leaps in through the window and sends her toys crashing to the floor, symbolizing the end of her childhood innocence. The end.
I was in an old house. I was walking on the stairs slowly and quietly. Then I say, I know this place. This place is my grandfather's place. And that time I was in a big maze. I go in the house and I knock the door. And the door opened by itself. When the door is opened by itself, I started to panic and scared. I go in the house, then I saw a giant snake. The snake ate my family and I cried sadly because my family are dead. Then the snake saw me crying and I ran fastly so that the snake didn't eat me. But unfortunately, the snake catch me and I shouted, "Help! Help!" And no one hear me. So I beat the snake with my hands and the snake ate me angrily. Then I woke up from my sleep. Then I say, "It is the worst nightmare in my life!"
Felix woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of his sister's music box. It kept playing. He wanted to stop it so he could go back to sleep. He quietly crept downstairs and looked around for the music box. When he saw it, his eyes perceived a dark figure standing by the windows looking at him with eerie eyes that spooked him. He ran back to his room and locked the door. He covered himself with his blanket. He could hear footsteps approaching him. He felt agitated with the fear that something bad was going to happen. He froze to the sound of someone breathing in his room. Then, out of the shadows, came a woman dressed in white. Her dreadful face silenced him. He screamed in the highest pitch of his voice for help. The woman approached him, an ominous grin on her face. She grasped his hand, stinging his skin, which made him shriek in trepidation. She strangled him and stabbed him with her long, piercing fingernails. He gasped for oxygen and tried to escape her grasp. It was to no avail, as every time he tried to escape, she choked him harder. He wailed for someone to help him from the misery. He could hear footsteps coming toward his door. His mother opened the door and said, "Felix, are you all right? I heard you screaming just now." His jaw dropped after realizing the lady in the white dress had disappeared. I'm fine, Mother," he replied, traumatized. With a smile, his mother told him, "Go back to sleep, Felix. It's way past your bedtime." Felix nodded in agreement and went back to sleep. He slowly closed his eyes, relieved that everything was over now. He heard the sound of his sister's music box again. He awoke and saw the white-dressed lady. For the first time, he heard a blood-curdling voice that he'd never forget. She whispered in his ear, "It's not over yet."
The nightmare. I heard a strange noise. I was sleeping and I was home alone. It was coming from the basement. I was scared of the basement. I never wanted to go there, but courageously I went down towards the basement. I heard someone saying bum bum stop, bum bum stop. I gave goosebumps. I opened the door and screamed, "Get out of my house!" "Open your eyes, son. It's time to get up." My mom was shaking me gently to wake me up. I had all only been a nightmare.
A rich man's wife became deadly ill the night before Christmas in 1798. So, he called for the doctor. By the time the doctor arrived, his wife had died, or so it seemed. Her husband was so grief-stricken that he locked himself in his room and did not attend the funeral the following day. The servants of the house carried the rich woman's body to the vicar, who in a drunken stupor held the ceremony quickly. A veil was drawn across her face, the stone lid lowered and the iron grill locked. Just before the priest fell to sleep later that night, he remembered the beautiful emerald ring on the finger of the woman he had laid to rest. Wanting the ring and thinking no one would find out, he went downstairs, unlocked the lid, opened it, and tried to pry off the ring. It would not budge. He ran and brought back a file to cut the ring off her finger. When that did not work, he severed her finger and pulled the ring off. As he left, he turned around to pick up the iron lid and screamed at the top of his lungs. He dropped the ring and ran. The woman had awakened, was moaning, and held her severed finger towards him with an evil smile on her face. Wearing nothing but a fine silk dress, the woman walked back to her home, knocked on the door, and rang the bell, but to no avail. The servants had all gone to sleep, for it was late on Christmas Eve. She lifted a heavy stone, threw it at her husband's window, and waited. She came to the window with a sorrowful look on his face. Suddenly, to her surprise, he yelled, "Go away! Why must you torture me so? Don't you know my wife had just died? Let me mourn and do not bother me again." With this, he shut the window. He did not realize it was his wife who had thrown the rock at the window. She repeated her actions, again throwing a rock at the window. He opened the window again and she yelled to him, "I am no one but your so-called dead wife. Now come down here and open this door unless you'd like me to die a second time on our doorstep." "You are a ghost then," he said to her. She said, "No, for ghosts don't bleed. Now come down here before I catch my own death of cold." The man, with a joyous look on his face, came down to meet his wife, took her inside where he called the doctor once more and told him the news. Meanwhile, the clergyman ran home and up the stairs in a state of fright. He hung himself from the rafters of his home. If he had only known that the woman only wanted to thank him. She had not died after all, but had gone into a coma. When he cut off her finger, the pain woke her up.
One late night, as how I always do when I was hungry, I walked into the kitchen to find food. But as I entered the kitchen, suddenly something brushed over my shoulder. I decided to ignore it because I was very hungry. After I searched the whole kitchen and the refrigerator, I took the bun and walked back to my room. While I was passing by my father's study room, I heard a strange noise. It sounded like someone pulling a chair. The study room was dark and my parents were out. I was pretty sure that there was no one in that room. A drip of sweat tingled down my spine. I was very scared, but I was also very curious to see what was happening inside it. So, I decided to walk inside the room. As I pushed the door slowly, I was shocked that it was a mess because my father's favorite vase was broken. I did not clean up the broken vase because I wanted to show my father that it was not done by me. I closed the door and thought that maybe the wind crossed it. Immediately after I closed it, I heard the pulling chair sound again. I ran as fast as I could towards my bedroom and closed the door. I jumped onto my bed and covered myself with my blanket. My heart pumped at very fast speed. Was it a ghost? Or was it just a bird that grew in?
Long ago, there lived an old lady named Cik Rosma. She was very knowledgeable, beautiful, and kind no matter what. She often heals others if they are hurt, physically or mentally. She was also married to a guy that she thought would love her until the end. Sadly, he soon left her by herself in a small wooden hut in the outskirts of the village called Kampung Medan, and never heard anything from him. One day, she was accused of killing her own husband, the fact that he was the one who left her. She was called a witch and was burnt at the stake. While her flesh was turning to ash, she thought of seeking revenge on the villagers and to the people who stayed near or at her hut after she was dead. A decade had passed and the spirits turned into a legend. It is believed that if she went to meet someone, that person would be cursed to death. Cik Rosma's hut was turned into a homestay as well. A group of STPM students have finished their exam. Ahmad, Zarul, Shifa, Emily, and Emma decided to go on a vacation together. As cliche as it may sound, they decided to visit Kampung Medan. They all have heard about the legend, but they did not believe it. Even worse, they decided to live at Cik Rosma's homestay. 2 days later, they went on a road trip to the village and then to the homestay. They all arrived at the homestay. Everyone was ready except for Emma. She felt like she had a weird feeling when she stepped into the house, but she ignored the feeling. The others were happy. They all hung out in the living room while Emily was taking selfies of herself and posting it on her Instagram account. Emma was sitting near the door. Ahmad saw her and knew she was a little scared. He said, "Hey, what's the matter? You're scared?" No worries. It's not like Cik Rosma is going to kill us or anything. To Emma. By that statement, it is clear that Ahmad did not believe the legend of Cik Rosma. Not even a little. Emma was terrified by Ahmad's words and said, "Hey, don't you ever say that again. You're just making it worse." Whoa. Chill, girl, chill. Sorry, Ahmad said. He then found an old radio player and switched it on. It came out a catchy song, and everybody grooved to the song happily. It was finally time to have their lights closed. Ahmad and Zaru slept in a room that has door to a garden, while the girls slept at a room near the living room. Everyone was fast asleep, except for Ahmad. Before Ahmad switched off the lights, he noticed something strange at the door. He saw a beautiful old lady from a far distance. He thought it was Cik Rosma, so he decided to check it out. Ahmad grabbed a torchlight and quickly opened the door to not wake Zarul up. He tried sensing Cik Rosma. Then he walked and walked and walked. Then he cornered. Then Cik Rosma was hanging upside down to the light. Ahmad was first stunned and pinched himself to check if he was dreaming, but instead shouted in pain and fear, then ran to his room. He immediately locked the door. Zara woke up because he heard Ahmad breathing loudly. "Hey bro, are you okay?" said Zara. "What do you mean? I'm fine, bro," said Ahmad, secretly hiding about what just happened just now. Zara said angrily, "Just tell me, don't you dare keep secrets from me." "I said nothing. Don't you understand? Nothing," shouted Ahmad. "Fine. Hurry then. Tuck yourself to sleep now," Zara instructed. "I know what to do," said Ahmad, while slowly going under his blanket and staring at the door with fear. Emma woke uncomfortably during her sleep. She wanted to go to the restroom. She tried waking Emily up to accompany her, but she told her to ask Shifa to go with her. Then she did, and they both went to the restroom together. Shifa then left her and went back to sleep when Emma was in the restroom. When Emma went out, she was stunned, and once she realized Shifa was gone, she tried finding her. "Shifa? Oh, Shifa. This isn't funny, Shifa. I know you're there." "Okay, that's enough. Shifa, show yourself," said Emma. Then appeared Cik Rosma. She saw Cik Rosma with her own eyes and ran back to the room, crying and traumatized. Everyone in the homestay ran to Emma, asking, "What happened? Are you okay?" And when Shifa asked her that, Emma screamed, "Why did you leave me alone there? Don't you know it's terrifying? I saw Cik Rosma. I saw her. And now I'm gonna die." Ahmad said, "Don't worry, you're not gonna die. Okay?" In the afternoon, Emma begged everyone to go home. Emily and Zara were scared as well. Emily checked her latest post on her Instagram account. People commented, "Emily, there's something in the background." She tried zooming in closely, and there she saw Cik Rosma standing in the background. She was very stunned and then begged everyone to go home. Shifa said, "Guys, relax. We can't just go home. We just stayed here for a night." "Yeah, Shifa is right," Ahmad said. Then Shifa said, "You know what? Just go. If you guys wanna go back home, just go. I don't care. I'm staying here. Bye. I'm going to the toilet." Shifa then went to the toilet. She washed her hands, then looked into the mirror. Then she could not believe what she saw. It was Cik Rosma with a knife in her hand. Then Shifa screamed, but Cik Rosma came closer to her, closed her mouth and placed the knife on her neck. Her neck was sliced by the knife. The knife was covered in Shifa's blood. Cik Rosman left Shifa on the floor. As soon as Emily went to check on Shifa, she shouted and called everyone. Emily and Emma were crying, while Ahmad and Zaru tried calling for help. The next day, everybody went home. They all went to Shifa's funeral. They were all sad and crying. Everyone went back to their respective homes. Zaru went home by driving his car that his father gifted him. He was driving as per usual. The road that he usually uses to go back home was empty. It was very odd, but he kept on driving. As he continued in front of his car, there was a glitch of something. The something was a ghost, a creepy ghost of Cik Rosma. Then it glitched and glitched and glitched. Zaru lost sight of the road, then crashed into a light pole on the side of the road. The group of students were decreasing. Each and one of them were scared. Next, it was Emily's turn. Emily was getting ready for bed. She was combing her hair while looking in the mirror. And there again, Cik Rosma was there. But it was not behind her. It was in front of her, but in the mirror. Cik Rosma screamed from the bottom of her guts, and then the mirror shattered to pieces and hit Emily. To two people. Emma was sitting on her couch watching the television, trying to get all her thoughts out of her head. Next door was a window. Her curtains were moving. She ignored it. As she ignored, the stronger the curtains moved. Emma freaked out and didn't know what to do. The curtains were detached from the window and were magically wrapped around Emma's neck. Emma could barely breathe. The curtains got tighter and Emma was choked to death. It was Cik Rosma's last revenge on the students. Ahmad was going to a well nearby his house. He was about to take some water because his house ran out of water. Out of the blue, Cik Rosma grabbed his hand, twisted them, and knocked him out. She dragged Ahmad to a chair, tied him, and placed him in a steep hill. Ahmad regained consciousness and was shocked that he was tied. He felt pain in his arms because he was twisted, Cik Rosman said. Any last word for the world, Ahmad? Ahmad said, Why do you have to seek revenge? I thought you were a kind, beautiful lady. I was accused of something I did not do. My husband left me, and then I killed him. I am very mad. Je suis très mal. Mwahahahahaha. That is why I am seeking revenge. So again, any last words, Ahmad? Yes, I do. I hope God pays you with what you have done to the people you seek revenge for, but 10 times worse, Ahmad said. Cik Rosma pushed Ahmad down from the top of the hill. Ever since then, cheered Rusma had vanished and was never seen again.